Hello ladies and gents, welcome back to Chaos TV's live coverage of the US Challenger Series. This time around it's number 14. It has been a slight delay since the last one that we casted. I'm joined by Pulse, and we're already into the picks and bans for our first best of 3 of the tournament between Ex-GamingGear.eu and Supa Hot Crew. How are you doing, Pulse?
I'm doing pretty well, thank you, Metas. It's always a long time between every event we do, and, well, we're back for the 14th Challenger Series, and it might be one of our last Metas, because as we encroach on Season 4, we don't really know what the future holds for us. So, again, this could be one of our lasts, and I hope you guys enjoy it.
Yeah, it's very true, because I don't know if you guys that have been obviously watching this and watch the community as a whole have realised, but I think they're being picked up by Coke Zero, I believe, Pulse, for the Challenger scene next season, so I'm pretty sure that Riot is going to be controlling the vast majority of the tournament, so this could very well be one of the last EUS Challenger Series, and we hope to go out on a bit of a bang here. But regardless, that being said, Pulse, into the game itself, we've had Elise, Shyvana, Shen, Renekton, and Jarvan the Fourth all banned out thus far. With 6 more seconds, it's going to be Orianna getting locked in for that last and final ban.
Yeah, so these are some pretty solid bans right now. Most of the bans we see are kind of drawn away from the mid laners after the recent wave of nerfs. Honestly, I feel Kassadin is just as strong as he was, maybe even slightly buffed in my opinion in the way that they're trying to transition him, but it didn't really hit him that hard. Elise, Shyvana, Shen makes a lot of sense. Shen is always that top lane you want to get out of there. Renekton, again, one of those solid top laners, and Jarvan, Orianna, well, great as a combo in their own right, but Orianna still one of those best mid lanes. We were saying before the nerfs came in that Orianna, Gragas, Lissandra, some of those mid-champions be kind of what we'd be expecting to see.
Yeah, definitely, but they have not banned out Kassadin here, and Mixer is thinking, and indeed will be locking this one in. So, Fiddlesticks on the side of Ex-GamingGear.eu, and on the flip side they are contemplating the idea of going in for a Kha'Zix. I am keeping an eye on chat there. A lot of people asking who is an Amsterdam Alliance. I believe it is 3 of the Copenhagen Wolves lineup with +2 mixers. So that gives you an indication of the caliber of players involved. They did knock out Meet Your Makers, who, let's face it, Pulse, they're an ex-LCS team. They are a seriously good team. So Amsterdam Lions going into the latter stage of this tournament would definitely expect to see them somewhere around there.
Yeah, it's interesting as well, because not only did they have the roster changes, and they were incredibly strong before, we saw them go into that best of 5 that we had versus MYM, and it went to the 5th game. This time they 2-0'd them with their new roster changes, so they haven't had as much time to play with each other, but that really looks good for the next season. But regardless, we're now into the champion picks, and Fiddlesticks will be the first pickup, which is interesting. I mean, he's a relatively safe support, but if you're going to first pick anything, Fiddlesticks is not what I would expect to be your go-to. However, on the flip side, you've got the Kassadin. Again, a little bit of a risky pick, but it's Kassadin. He's still very strong right now. As a priority pick, you might as well take him through. He shouldn't have too many issues in the laning phase, and Kha'Zix will most likely be in the jungle, but could be in the top lane as well.
Yeah, it's interesting to see Kha'Zix getting locked in here, because I was casting not too long ago and I'm So Fresh was actually running the Kha'Zix in jungle and did a very good job with that character. So it wouldn't surprise me to see it running in the jungle here. However, if that Hecarim does get locked in, that will signify Kha'Zix top, I am fairly confident. They're also hovering over the Shaco. Now, I cannot remember the last time that I actually saw a Shaco play at the top level of play. It would probably be going back several years, and indeed, they will be switching on over.
Yeah, it's been a while. Shaco kind of falls off when it comes to competitive play because it's a lot easier to play around his very difficult ganks. Because yes, he has that stealth, but you can play around it with pink wards. You'll see a lot more pink wards, a lot more wards over items for support, and that really just mitigates Shaco's ability to gank in the early game, and that means he'll just fall off like a brick. Instead, Caitlyn will be locked in, a very, very solid AD carry.
Yep, Caitlyn is top tier AD carry right now, especially against Corki. Corki is a short-ranged AD carry, lots of bursts, but doesn't do too well against Caitlyn in lane. One of the counteractors to Caitlyn in lane is Sona, and they've actually locked Sona in as well, so that's a lot of harassment at bot lane, Pulse, and this is going to be quite difficult for Corki to deal with.
Yeah, Corki is a very dominant laner. Pair him with someone who's another aggressive support, kind of like Fiddlesticks, but someone like Fresh or even Nami, you can have more aggressive potential in the bot lane, and then you can just kind of burst them down. However, against Caitlyn and Sona, very poke-centric lane, and Sona versus Fiddlesticks, she'll outrange him with her Q over Fiddlesticks' Terrify, so they should have the upper hand unless they manage to get right in there and engage before Sona can kind of get that poke up, which will be interesting. We'll have to wait until they hit level 6. Again, a lot more interesting things can happen. Against Crescendo will come in. Looks like Mazran's looking for the idea of Gragas along with Jace.
Yep, they will be locking in the Gragas and Jace, thus that makes Fiddlesticks the support, and I would assume that Aatrox will be running in the jungle. So that will leave the, let's have a look, top laner, I believe, unless Kha'Zix is going to be occupying the top lane. So some questions are going to be answered right now. But just going back onto the side of Ex-GamingGear.eu, you did mention this before, Paul, so you've been saying this for the last couple of weeks as well, actually, that with all the nerfs coming about with the Assassin champions in mid, we're going to see a lot more Gragas and Orianna. Orianna was banned, and Gragas has slipped through, so that's a very strong mid laner coming in here. The hovering over Lucian, I would be amazed if Lucian was run top. I'm pretty sure they're going to change from that one.
Yeah, most likely. Probably just the placeholders for a couple seconds while they contemplate what they really want to go for. But Gragas in the mid lane versus Kassadin. Kassadin shouldn't do too badly against that. They might be looking for a lane swap up though. Gragas says to me, okay, well, we've let through Kassadin. We could go for a very strong mid lane to try and counteract that, or we can go for a 1 versus 2 lane. We recognise that Fiddlesticks Corki wouldn't have the greatest time against Caitlyn and Sona, so if we swap them against Kassadin, which would be a much better matchup, have Gragas go 1 versus 2, but then make sure that we have the early game knowledge. They have a decent early game compared to what they're running on the opposite team, probably a slightly better level 1 as well, so they might be able to just get that early bit of knowledge so they can really get those lanes in the right places.
Yep, they did actually lock the Volibear in as you're talking there, and I've noticed that both Ko and Strella have been switching across these champions a few times, so I'm going to wait until that clock hits 0, because of course they can still switch right now. But Kha'Zix jungle is possible, it is a viable lock-in. I would, however, expect to see Volibear in the jungle here, Pulse, but seemingly they're pretty happy with the way things are, so unless they change in the next 5 seconds, that's going to be Ko occupying Kha'Zix in jungle and a Volibear top.
Yeah, it's still very interesting now, because Volibear is not something we see very often. Volibear has great damage and utility in the early game, but scales off. Yes, that is very reminiscent of a lot of junglers like Lee Sin, but he still has a lot more utility than Volibear. He just suffers from his recent nerfs. Yes, he's still very strong. We'll see what they bring out here. And Ku is going to be on the jungle with Kha'Zix, and again, it's a champion I've not seen him on too often. Of course, we know Ku for his amazing Lee Sin skills.
Yeah, he is a very skillful mechanical player, and when we were watching I'm So Fresh occupying Kha'Zix in jungle, he got an early buff and instantly transitioned to top lane and tried to get first blood. And I feel that's what Kha'Zix needs to do. He needs to snowball really hard in order to get items to become that very scary assassin that we all loathe playing off against. But regardless, ladies and gents, with about 2 minutes remaining on delay, we're going to cut to a very quick commercial break. When we rejoin us, we'll be live for the first game in this best of 3 between Ex-GamingGear.eu, and they are going to be facing off against, I'm actually completely lost here, Paul. So who are they playing? Super Hot Crew, that's the one.
There we go. It's a very difficult name to remember.
I knew it was going to stump me, even going into this game. I should have written it down. My apologies. But we are going to be into that first game right after this.
Hello and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Chaos TV's live coverage of EUS Challenge Series number 14 with Ex-GamingGear.eu and Super Hot Crew. I am Pulse and I'm joined by Metas.
Hey Pulse, hey viewers, how is it going? We are on to the Rift, as you say, in this first out of a potential 3 games. First game that we've casted together in quite some time as well, Pulse, so I'm really pumped, really hyped for this matchup, but seemingly both teams are playing fairly aggressive here.
Yeah, they're moving up into the mid lane. Coop just kind of wandering about. You might see them as they look for the invade into the jungle. Getting that early vision is kind of what we expect them to do because they might want to go for those lane swap-ups. So again, the aggressive wards come down, fairly standard. And we might see a counter invade from the team of Super Hot Crew. In fact, again, just putting down the early wards for that early vision.
Yep, so the teams, if you are interested and a tiny bit confused, are Super Hot Crew is going to be purple side and blue side is Ex-GamingGear.eu. Of course, if you're watching World Finals, you remember seeing these guys in the group stages from Lithuania. So, 2 very good teams here. Apologies, by the way, for previously forgetting the team names, but it's very difficult for us, Pulse, because in the Challenger scene, this is something that I've talked about before, there's so much change-ups in the rosters that it's very difficult to keep on top of who's gone where and what team was which, because we've previously, just in the last month, casted Ku in like 3 different sides. It's quite strange to do.
Yeah, it's bad enough in the pro scene now that we're getting all these swap-ups for Season 4, but in the Challenger scene, this is fairly standard. Like, every week you'll have a new lineup, every week you'll have a different player in a different place, and you look at the player and expect them to be, you know, part of Recent Gaming, or part of Copenhagen Wolves. Next week they're part of Eternity. So you just can't keep track of this stuff on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely, and no tags as well, which is always quite strange, but fortunately you guys watching the stream can see at the top of your screen which team is which. That being said though, interesting switch-ups about here. It's going to be Corky and Fiddlesticks going up against Strella's Volley Bear top lane. That's not something we see a great deal of, to be fair, Pulse. Top lane Volley Bear is definitely a strong lock-in, but more often than not, you're going to see it in jungle. If you go back to early season, on Season 2, it was pretty much top-tier jungler until its Roaring Thunder got nerfed.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting things going on, notably kind of the double swap-ups with the junglers as they jump into their opposing junglers to pick up both of those red buffs, so they won't be behind, but they'll be displaced, so it'll be something for the lanes kind of to think about for the first couple minutes. It's like, where are the junglers going to be? They're probably going to be in the respective halves of the jungle, so that should be okay, but it means that MBS LoL's not going to be in good shape, as he knows he's probably going to be 3-man ganked. They're pushed very hard, they have a pretty good diving team as well, they have a lot of burst damage if they can land a pill to her. It looks like they're going in as Ku is just kind of sitting around the outside. They definitely want it to happen.
Yeah, but Heidel taking those 2 tower shots could very well hold off this aggression. Because look at his health bar, he's not too healthy right now. And those 2 tower hits, I really feel Pulse may actually stop them from tower diving for the next little while. And in the meanwhile, Lunar has actually gone to top lane, and Volibear will be falling through his passive. Passive as well popped off from Aatrox, but still, that first blood coming through for Ex-GamingGear.eu.
Yeah, it meant that they kind of had to force their hand at bot lane, meaning they had to try and push it up to the tower, try and do some damage because they knew that kill had gone the top lane. But the wave clear from MBS LoL is pretty damn good in the early game, and in the top lane, that's kind of what you have to play against. Ku was forced into the situation where he's going for this gank anyway.
Yes, he is, so bot lane's not looking too good, but still, this tower is being smashed upon from Heidel, Ku, and also Mixer. Mid lane, both Ignites were popped from CosQ, and also Mazarin. Top tower has just fallen now, Pulse. So first blood in terms of kill and towers going to the Lithuanians.
Yeah, they had a much better diving team, and it forced Ku to try and go for his own dive, even though theirs was good, but not as good as essentially a Guardian Angel on demand early game. I mean, that's so much better. Ku takes some hits in the bot lane. Again, MBS LoL's trying to keep this tower alive, but if they pick up this turret, they'll be in very good shape. Kind of bats them away, but this should be the second turret going down of the game.
It indeed will, so somewhat of a switch up here with both of the 1v2 laners managing to pick up the towers. Are they going to switch back up again? Yes, they are, Pulse, with both Fiddlesticks and Corky reoccupying bottom lane. So pretty much just blow for blow between these two teams, but of course that first blood on the side of Corky is going to make Deadly Brother very scary in these early stages of the game. Already has the Phage picked up.
Yeah, because of the bottom tower falling for Super Hot Crew, they'll have the slight advantage when it comes to the early dragon. Top lane, however, Volley can freeze all day, and you have to ask yourself, how is that going to affect the team of Gaming Gear? What can Jace do? Does he go top lane, overextend and potentially get picked up by an assassin jungle, or does he go mid lane or bot lane and try and assist elsewhere, or try to gank? The answer is he has to go top lane, and he's overextending, allowing Ku to exert pressure into that top lane, potentially pick up a kill. It just makes it very difficult, and for the short term, that will benefit Super Hot Crew. Follow through for another couple minutes, and again it will benefit them because they'll have advantage over Drake.
Yeah, and look how that's equating actually into that top CS. I'm keeping an eye at bot lane because suddenly 6 players are occupying this. Fiddlesticks is going down very quickly. Darkflight comes in as well from Aluna. They're focusing on Ko. Then they're going to be picking up that kill. Heidel flashing through, trying to finish off the kill on Aatrox. Will manage to do so. So kill for kill. And that's going to be the jungler for jungler, even trade in that circumstance. But what I was about to say before all hell broke loose at bot is have a look at the differential between those two top laners, 28 CS to 10. So yes, exactly, NBS LoL is falling behind.
Yeah, he should start to kind of pick up a little bit as the creep wave has started to push, because that will happen naturally. However, with the creep stack, means Volibear can aggress onto MBS LoL for the next couple of seconds while he has that advantage. And now they will be moving on to Drake, it appears, as well as Ku comes back into the Dragon area. And again, this is kind of the advantage of having that tower go down in the bot lane and having the tower be lost at the top lane means your top lane benefits, their top lane can't come down, and then you're stuck in this very awkward position, so it really benefited them being on that red side.
Also, very smart play coming out from the side of Super Hot Crew, but here's Mazrin from the side, does have his ultimate available, body slamming in. Nixet will be falling to the hands of Aluna on Aatrox, so they do manage to pick up that dragon. Certainly worth it from Super Hot Crew's perspective, and that, as you said, comes down from the fact that bottom tower was taken, but also Heidel and Mixer pushed the lane very, very hard onto that inner tower as well. So really smart play coming out from Super Hot Crew. Even though they're 3-1 behind, they're not doing too bad.
Yeah, MBS lol now just doing quite a lot of damage to Volibear. He's not having a fun time in top lane. He's gone down to about 30% HP. His passive has been popped. That's going to hurt him in the next time he tries to trade. Volibear versus Jace is kind of interesting because we haven't had much time to talk about it because of the lane swap-ups. But as a matchup, I'm not even sure how that would go. Volibear would find it very difficult getting anywhere near Jace. The poke would be very, very strong until he could try and connect. Acceleration Gate is a great way of disengaging, as well as the extra movement speed from his ultimate. And then, if he does aggress onto him, then his combo can just punish Volibear really hard. It's kind of the same thing with Jace against a lot of top laners, but Volibear has less tools. In the mid lane, they're starting to trade blows. Depends where they want to go all in. Coscube comes in, though, with a Rift Walk.
Yeah, Ignite has been popped as well, forcing the flash from Mazrin, but there's a Null Sphere right at the backside, and we'll be picking up that kill. Dark Flight in, plus the Blades of Torment, not going to be enough to pick up the return kill on Cosq, who will stay in the lane and get some more farm. But as you're saying, top NBS lore should be by and large okay, although Volibear has just picked up a Giant's Belt, so he is massive right now in terms of hit points. The Thundering Blow, though, I feel is going to be NBS LoL's best tool for just getting away at the top.
Yeah, however, the Cannon Creep wave has just rolled in, and he's going to freeze it there for a very long time. He doesn't have any real need to push, and now Jace realizes that he just has to go elsewhere. It means that the Super Hot Crew are going to have to play more defensive, but at the same time, as long as they can just keep it rolling, as long as they can play defensive and not do anything overly aggressive, Volibear will start to pull massively ahead of Jace. So over the next couple of minutes, it's really down to Ex-GamingGear to make something happen, because if they don't, then their top lane will suffer massively.
That is a very good point. Having a quick look at the items, Cosq has gone back, picked up a needlessly large rod, and he's absolutely decimating NBS LoL, who will be going down to the red buff courtesy of Ko. That burst damage was absolutely ridiculous, and that's the real strength of having two assassins coming together in mid.
Yeah, and that's something you haven't commented on either. They have the Khazad, and he has not been shut down. Yes, Gragas has the slight CS advantage, but that doesn't matter. He's got a kill, he's got another assist, and he hasn't been shut down to the point where he can't roam. He can just go anywhere he likes right now. Top lane, they can make a push play up there. That will start to gradually build up because he's been stalling the wave. So really, Super Hot Crew can make any power play they want. They can send Cast in bot lane, they can push Volley in the top lane, drawing Jace away. Bot lane looks like the next point of contention.
It certainly does, because Kassadin is just skirting around the edges, stalking his prey. But nothing's going to happen for Cosq here. And in the meanwhile, actually, Mazrin's getting some free farm in mid. Interestingly enough, with that kill that Ko got, he went instantly for Boots of Mobility. So they're going for this hyper-mobile team, our Super Hot Crew, with Kassadin and also Kha'Zix. And honestly, without any teleports on the side of Ex-GamingGear.eu, I'm finding it difficult to see how they're going to be able to maneuver around. And now that Jace's just been caught out, look at the burst damage coming through once again. This should be a very dead NBS LoL, as Volibear is tanking up the tower, now switching that across to Ko, and they will both manage to survive.
Yeah, bot lane though, Deadly Brother took some hits along with Kiaris and along with Kassadin coming into the side. He's looking for this assassinate as Darkblight comes in.
Indeed it does. Can Cosq get away with Riftwalk? Actually going back in again, as Coralius is going to be fearing him off, will be falling, however. Deadly Brother survives by the skin of his teeth. There's going to be 1-for-1 trade, but suddenly not looking too good. Explosive cast comes in from Mazrin, and the body slam. Nice juke out from Heidel, but it's nowhere near enough to keep himself alive, and they claim the kill onto the support. So suddenly swings to a 6-5 kill advantage for Ex-GamingGear.eu, but they have just lost another tower at top lane, Pulse. So even though they got a nice trade off there, I think that was a 3-for-1, they're still behind on goal by 800.
Yeah, they used their jungler to collapse on that bot lane, which worked out really well as a counter gank, but in the top lane was like, well, we have a jungler up here, we might as well carry on pushing. MBS LoL got in way faster than I think they were really expecting, so a tower for basically 2 kills over what they got, not going to be amazing, and the tower's going to be picked up in response, so GamingGear coming back strong.
Yes, absolutely. They will be taking this bottom tower courtesy of the minions. Oh, was lurking around top lane for a while, has now decided with those boots of ability to go back into his jungle. So, let's take a bit of stock here, Pulse. 1 minute up on the dragon until it's live once again. Is there anything that's jumping out at you in terms of item build to talk about here?
Everything looks fairly standard so far. I would look at Volibear to see whether he's going to go damage or tank. Generally want to be going for that tanky build. As Volibear looks like he's heading towards the Sunfire Cape, which is a fairly interesting pickup. He has very decent wave clear, especially with his ultimate, and wave clear is kind of an underrated ability when it comes to League of Legends, but the ability to shove out a wave and then immediately come back to your team, especially if your opposing laner doesn't have amazing wave clear themselves, means that it can put someone in a very awkward position where they either have to defend the turret or go to a fight. Volibear can do that very easily. Having Sunfire Cape, not necessarily sure if he needs it. His ultimate is on a fairly long cooldown, so I guess in that sense, yes. But if he's purely using it for wave clear, he might actually use it for the team fights as well. It's kind of a strange ultimate. You're not really sure what you really need to be using it for. But Sunfire Cape definitely makes sense as a long-term goal.
Yeah, especially when you consider the wave clear that Ex-GamingGear.eu has with Gragas, Corki, Jace, and also Aatrox. I mean, that's a lot of wave clears going to be coming out. They can pretty much insta-kill a creep wave. Dragon has spawned. It's being taken from Super Hot Crew right now, picking it up for free, and they will be backing on off as well. Don't think there's going to be any retaliation coming in from Ex-GamingGear.eu. Indeed there won't, so another objective picked up from Super Hot Crew.
Yes, indeed. But we do have Gaming Gear mobilizing in the mid lane. And there will be a reaction from Super Hot Crew. Do they decide to collapse onto them? Volibear's probably going to want to initiate this. Terrified comes down, and in response, Shock Blast through Acceleration Gate as Haydal picks up some more minions and see if they can get themselves a pick. But good mobility means they should get out of dodge, and they have a lot of ways of getting out of there. Amazing disengage, and even on the individual characters as well. Look at Aatrox, look at Deadly Brother on Corki.
Yeah, absolutely. So many escape mechanisms. Another Shock Blast comes in from Jace, but they have the Sonar, so they should be okay. Mixer can just heal back up again with the Aria of Perseverance that she has. Tower's taking a bit of damage, but Volibear going back to top lane again, going to be getting some free farm. However, all 5 players from Ex-GamingGear.eu are still lurking around mid lane. They don't have a wave pushing right now for them. It's going to be coming up in the next couple of seconds. However, I don't think they've got enough damage to pick this one up in the next little while. And Volibear's coming down, Paul, so this could be a big fight kicking off any second now.
Yeah, they have a lot of siege and they have a lot of damage, but Caitlyn in return, again, a lot of good wave clear. So what about how they're going to initiate this fight if they want it? Shrelia off to the side. Again, Volibear could be one avenue of initiation, but Blades of Torment and Gragas Barrel will make it very difficult to get anywhere near. Meanwhile, you've got the Flash Crescendos from Mixer, could be another avenue to get in. And Karzik, as an assassin jungle, doesn't want to be the one initiating, so the ways of initiating is basically Mixer.
It's either Mixer or it's Volibear just getting somebody with their pants down and trying to nuke them in a heartbeat with the 2 assassinations. Here they come. Actually, Cause Q going to be going in with the Rift Walk. Mixer's at the back. Volibear was slightly out of position. Here comes the Crescendo, however, and all the burst damage afterwards. That's a 2-for-0 trade thus far. Darkflight goes in. Kassadin has been picked up in the meanwhile, so that's a 2-for-1 trade, but it has kept their middle tower alive and kicking for a little while longer. And with a Luna fairly low and also Mazarin looking a bit vulnerable, they can actually turn the tides here. Deadly Brother coming in from the side, however, has the components of the Trinity Force, so he's doing a lot of damage at 15 minutes, and he will force back Super Hot Crew.
Yeah, they can counter initiate, but at least they could repel them from the turret, which is their only real goal in the short term. Caitlyn will be singing at the turret, should be enough to clear this one out. Mazarin has good wave clear, but it shouldn't be enough before they just repel the minions again. So, now we're looking at the item builds. Kassadin has already picked up a Deathfire Grasp. Something we don't see all the time from Kassadin, but will increase his single target potential and bursting potential in the early game.
And they finally get that target in the mid lane. And as you were saying before, really, it comes down to 2 key plays that are going to try and start things off nicely for Super Hot Crew. It's either going to be Mixer or it's going to be Cyrella. And that time around, Mixer flash crescendoed in. It was beautiful, locked down 3 players, and they insta-popped 2 of them. However, they weren't able to really take any objectives off the back of it, Paul. So in that sense, yes, you got 2 kills, but you lost Kassadin, and in return, you actually end up losing your mid lane. So Ex-GamingGear.eu are going to be completely happy with that trade, I have to feel.
Yeah, Super Hot Crew either need to kill someone and then snowball off each kill, rift walking and then using the leaps when Karzik's resets, but do that kind of away from turrets, so they need very particular fights or very particular picks. Otherwise, Gaming Gear have way too much mobility and diversity in their team composition. They can counter-engage, they can get out of dodge with individual characters, they can anti-siege very well, Gragas barrels and Shock Blast, sorry, so either they kill 4 people or 5 people, or they don't really get anything done. And having that safety net from Gaming Gear will make it very difficult for Super Hot Crew to get anything done, as long as Ex-Gaming Gear pick the right scenarios for their fights.
I will draw attention, however, to Kassadin's first main item he's picked up. It's going to be Deathfire Grasp, so the amount of burst damage that's going to be coming out from CosQ can very easily nuke somebody down in a heartbeat. In fact, they're going after Alun. Here comes a Rolling Thunder as well from Cyrella. Alunax is in a really precarious position. He's been popped into his blood well. How much damage can they do? Not enough. Explosive Cast comes in. Serious damage out from Gragas, but it's not going to keep his jungler alive.
And while that's the power of their composition, they can get a pick, great. Now what do we do with it? We've been poked down so much by Gragas that we can't siege because we don't have the wave clear and we don't have the potential to dive. Because, yes, Volibear's in good shape, but will it be enough to collapse onto them? Looks like they're going to go for it regardless. Shirelli coming off into the backside as Miggs is still on the front line. He's got the crescendo. CosQ comes in. Hey there with the ultimate. And now the Volibear comes in.
That's a beautiful combination. So mechanical, so seamless. It was just ability here, ability there, ability here, and then Cyrella going in with the Rolling Thunder, plus Ignite and Flash. So they managed to take down Deadly Brother. Corki's going to be dead for the next 20 seconds. Dragon is up in 1 minute. So they may very well recall, get some more items, and come back even stronger for that objective. And it's important to mention, Pulse, that, you know, solo queue mentality is kills, 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 kills. But in team mentality, when you get towards the Challenger series, these teams want objectives. And as you said before, you hit the nail on the head as Heidel is flashing up red there. But you hit the nail on the head that, yes, we got a kill, but so what? We're not getting any objectives off this, and therefore, we're not really progressing forward in this match.
Yeah, exactly. It will help them when it comes to objectives like Dragon, because, like it or not, Ex-Gaming Gear is going to try and have to fight them. And if they fall too far behind, then Super Hot Crew will pick off one and then kill the rest of your team. Meanwhile, Q and CosQ in the jungle. Very risky play, could result in a kill. At the same time, could mean their 2 big assassins get wiped off the board, but they should be okay. With Dragon spawning in 8 seconds, we'll see what they can do. I still think Ex-Game Gear have the superior team fight. It's whether how they can execute it against a very heavy pick composition.
Yeah, it comes down to that word that we use so often on Chaos TV, Pulse. It's the execution. It all comes down to how well you execute your game plan. How well are your ultimates landing? Are they pixel perfect? Are you whiffing them slightly? Dragon is up, and neither team really wanting to try and pick this one up for free thus far. Cyrella actually, as I say, that's going in, but so much ward coverage from both squads in all of these bushes. It's going to make it very difficult. Rolling Thunder comes through, instantly Valkyrieing away. Terrify as well from Fiddlesticks will be halting off Volibear. They're taking so much poke damage actually, just from the missile barrages and Blade of Torment plus Mazarin's Qs. His barrels, and instantly they're going to go in for the Fiddlesticks. They pick up that kill for free. Do they have the strength, however, to pick up Dragon off this? A flash from Mixer, slightly out of communication with the rest of his team, and actually puts CosQ in a really precarious position, who will be going down as a result of that engage. It seemed to me they were caught in 2 lines there, Pulse, and ended up doing a bit of nothing.
Yeah, both of the teams split. That should favour the Assassin team, as everyone is dropping solo. You're just waiting for another kill to come out, but it looks like they will be backing off just to the point where they can't get anything else done. Super Hot Crew should be able to convert this into the Dragon and come out slightly ahead. But that's the strength of Super Hot Crew's composition. If you split up slightly, they pick one person off, it forces everyone to cluster together, which is what Ex-Gaming Gear did. Yes, that worked out in the short term, but then Super Hot Crew just disengaged, they re-engaged, they picked another person off. It's very difficult to play against that when, as soon as one person dies, you get the domino effect. Mixer came in with a perfect flash crescendo, which also helped. Dragon has gone down, and Super Hot Crew come out ahead.
They do indeed, and that's going to be Corellius just locking down some more wards coming around from the side. Sorella needs to be careful here actually, because Aluna's just popped a ward through the walls. So are they going to try and be engaging on this? Darkflight goes in, Blades of Torment as well. But instantly, Volibear is far too tanky to deal with this. And we're wondering about the Sunfire Cape. Hasn't gone for that. Glacial Shroud and the Spectre's Cowl plus Giant's Belt. Interesting build order actually from Sorelia's Volibear top.
Yeah, it's kind of what I wanted to see, is because the fact that he picked up the Giant's Belt kind of said to me he was picking up the Sunfire Cape. I think as the game progressed, he realised he didn't really need that. He needed the teamfight potential, going for those early resistance items, which haven't quite hit the cap as you go for the Spirit Visage, and you also go for what looks like it could be Randuin's Omen, but more likely going to be the Frozen Heart. In fact, any could work for Volibear. He likes the cooldowns, but he also likes the ability to get in there, slow them down, and then stick to people. So he's got multiple avenues in which to go down, and probably will be picking up the armor item next. Well, as we see Super Hot Crew wandering through their jungle, and Ex-GamingGear looking to be the hunters instead of the hunted.
Yeah, they are trying to switch this one about right now, but with everything said and done, taking stock of the game, it's still very, very close. Only 3,000 gold in it, which at 22 minutes is really nothing to write home about. 3-2 on towers, and a plethora of dragons between them as well, as Fiddlesticks takes that to the face. Nice pickup, though, from Volibear. Roll of Thunder on NBS low gets taken down without retaliation for 30 more seconds. Now, this could be the straw that breaks the camel's back from Ex-GamingGear.eu in the mid, and that is going to be the mid tower finally falling.
That's kind of a funny thing that I didn't really think about with the Jace Volibear matchup, because of the weird mechanics that Volley Flip has against the knockback. He knocked him back way before he flipped, and then it flipped. There was that definite pause, and they got the pick because of it. Those mechanics are, I wouldn't say what make or break Volibear, but it's really annoying to play against.
It certainly is, and that's why we saw so much play of Volibear, as I said before, at the beginning of Season 2. But oh my god, and Deadly Brothers now getting crushed down. Nearly gets killed from the Mixer Pizza's power cord from Sona, but manages to live the fight for another day. However, it's going to have to go back to spawn. This is going to give the side of Super Hot Crew a bit of free farm, and now they're going to pull their way back. But it's getting towards this scary period in the game pulse where this double assassination comp is starting to come to fruition. Both characters are doing a lot of damage. If we do get into the latter stages of this game, just to theorycraft a tiny bit, which of these two compositions would you expect to see come out ahead?
We need to see Super Hot Crew stay above the curve, but if it goes into the really latter parts of the game, honestly, it's still going to be pretty even. Neither of these teams really scale off. Neither of them get any stronger than the other. So it's just going to be who gets these earlier kills, who gets these earlier objectives, and who picks up and ramps up that map vision, map control before we hit that stage in the game metas. So honestly, I can't call that. I would say there will be a slight advantage to Gaming Gear because they'll be forced to group up around objectives more than they are now because we're in a more of a roaming phase. Yes, that favors Super Hot Crew. When we get into the latter parts of the game, you'll go for those Baron dances. Yes, they might be able to pick up the support. Maybe they'll go for that flash crescendo.
Oh, they've landed it on 3 players already. They're all getting crushed down. Explosive Cast comes in. There's so much damage. And that's going to be the shutdown. Instantly, Hideout is flashing up red. Another barrel lands. And that is going to be all she wrote from Super Hot Crew. Triple kill from Mazarin. A 4-for-1 trade with just Sorella remaining for his team. He's on full HP, so he's pretty big, but 4 players to face off against. And if you have a look at those health bars actually pulse, they're pretty much scary to play against. That was all down to Mazarin's positioning and his explosive cast just chunking through. That's going to be a free Baron.
That was the claustrophobic environment which they just could not teamfight in against a teamfight orientated composition. They looked for the pick but did not realise everyone was there to back him up. And then, as you said, the huge burst damage from Mazarin and the follow-up from Corki. Corki's AoE damage is nothing to sniff at. He does a lot of damage in his own right, along with the AoE damage from Aatrox, and they just grouped everything up. Unbelievable damage, and the fight was over before it even started.
Yeah. Definitely the case, and Corki's got Triforce and Sorcerer Shoes. This is something the vast majority of the top Corki players will go for, Sorcerer Shoes, because of the magic penetration. Corki does an underrated amount of magic damage. His Phosphorus Bomb and his Missile Barrages plus the Valkyrie is going to be chunking you down with Sorc Shoes. So in that fight, as you said, the close claustrophobic atmosphere, that's really where his Gatling Gun, Phosphorus Bomb and all the Missile Barrages come to fruition alongside the massive burst damage from Mazarin. That was beautiful to watch though, Pulse. Like, all those health bars just getting chunked down in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, indeed. And it's going to really sign it out to Super Hot Crew that we can no longer go for team fights. No matter if we're like 10k ahead, they still have that in their arsenal. So what can we do? We back off, we look for picks once again. But now, with that kind of morale boost and the Baron, means that they can just stay as a group. They don't need to split. They can barrel down a lane, look for the siege. And there's very little that Super Hot Crew can do in return.
especially with this Baron, as you say. I can't really see what they can do because the wave clear is exceptional. They've got poke damage in the form of both Corki and also NBS Lol's Jace, so they're going to be able to poke you from range, have the sustain from Baron, plus Mazarin's Gragas is just a sustain beast anyway. That's what Gragas naturally is, and there is nothing they can do to stop this onslaught. In fact, Cassidy was at top lane getting some farm. This could very well cost them this tower. Look at how quickly it's falling down. And this is just spelling really bad days for Super Hot Crew. Ko goes in, needs to instantly go back with his ultimate being popped as well. And I'm really watching for how Mix is going to play this. Do you want to engage on this team? I don't really think so, not with Baron.
No, not at all, especially against a teamfight composition, and this has put them into a very difficult slot, because now they're on the back foot, but they're an assassin composition. They want to pick one person up. They can't just straight up go for a teamfight unless they land Force Pulse on several people. Ku could get caught here as he jumps out with Leap, and he's good to go, but Carlos, not really sure what he's doing. He's just kind of on his own. As long as he can bait them out, that could be a good play. It makes it very difficult. This is not the fight that they want. This is not something they can lead into and make it favourable for them.
Yeah, I think the game plan right now, short term for Super Hot Crew, is just try and waste their Baron. Yes, they've already picked up a couple of towers, but try your best to keep this inhib alive. The flash coming in instantly from Volibear, who's going to be Thundering Blowed and also terrified away. Ko in the meantime is going toe-to-toe with Aatrox. Fiddlesticks, ultimate explosive cask as well. Volibear is easily the tankiest player on the side of Super Hot Crew, but he instantly goes down. Double kill to Aatrox, looking for his triple as well. Going to be going in alongside Gragas. And Corki will be picking up the pieces. A 3-for-0 trade with Baron. That is definitely, at the very least, an inhib. And they may look to push one of these Nexus towers. No, they're not. Yes, actually, Pulse, they're going to go for this.
Yeah, Super Hot Crew played it really well. They landed everything in the right places. Caitlin's going to try her best. Mix has already blown the big cooldowns. And Haydal actually gets hit by the Terrify.
Oh, Haydal, rest in peace. You are down and out. And now they're going to be looking for that second Nexus tower. Going to be finishing off the game here with 10 seconds remaining on the spawn timer from Kha'Zix, and also 30 seconds in Haydal. And that's all she wrote for game number 1. GamingGear.eu looked a bit shaky in the early parts of this game, Pulse, but that one big team fight around the blue buff spun this game on its head.
Yeah, Super Hot Crew needed to continuously make big plays because of their composition, and it just went from bad to worse after that team fight, getting the Baron, and then they could do whatever they wanted. Super Hot Crew basically had to delay that point where Gaming Gear could just say, okay, we're this strong, we can tower dive, we can do anything we want, and as soon as they can make that type of power play, Super Hot Crew's composition falls apart.
Absolutely. Well, ladies and gents, that's going to do it for game number 1 of this best of 3. So we have some more action coming up from both Super Hot Crew and Ex-GamingGear.eu. So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this short break.